So I did a video, uh, no, not a video. I published an article, was it 2 days ago or yesterday, about engine oil, about switching engine oil and long journeys. So, um, so I was like, it would make more sense too if I could do a video on that as well. So, people normally switch from different kinds of oil brands or switch from different oil grade type or quality, and the next day or the same day they will hit the highway or travel with the vehicle, and most times they end up wrecking their engine because of that, their engine. So I will advise you don't do it, or you stop doing that, as long as it's not the identical oil that was in that engine before you change and put the new oil. Don't travel with that vehicle. This oil, even if let's say, oh, it's 10W40, you now bought another 10W40 from a different brand, it's very risky in the sense of traveling with the car that same day or the next day. It's possible the synthetic level on one of them is higher or quality is different. So what usually happen, the oil sales on those engine will start reacting to the new oil, or to do different oil property or quality or whatever, and they start leaking. So on the highway, the leakage will become faster. So even before you know it, it could dry up completely before even the warning, or maybe by the time you notice what was happening, it's already giving you warning that oil is too low. And if you are not paying attention at that time, it could damage your engine. So advice, don't do it. When you want to travel and you want to switch to a different oil grade, different oil brand, let's assume you want to switch from mineral to synthetic, or you want to downgrade from synthetic to mineral, or you want to switch from mineral to semi-synthetic, or semi-synthetic to synthetic or mineral, whichever one, or you want to do 5W40 to 10W40, or 10W40 to 20W50, or 20W50 to 5W40, or liquid moly to total. It doesn't matter. See, once it's not, like I say, it's not identical. That's what I mean. It's not it's exactly what you are removing from that engine. Do it like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 days before you travel. At least let it be minimum of 3 days. Then when you change the oil, be driving the car, driving maybe at least minimum of 50 kilometers per day. I'm not saying enter the highway and start driving. No, I mean just be doing your usual drive, but let it come up to 50 kilometers. It could be a little bit lower than that, but you need to drive, let the engine work longer. Do it as for at least minimum of 3 days before the journey. The more you do it, if the sales are weak, and you now introduce a different oil, it will react to it, and then they'll start leaking. So that if you spot that leakage on time, you could replace the sail. The weakest of them is usually the crankshaft or sail, most especially the one on the gearbox end, not the one on the timing end. But that timing end too can also fail. But the one that usually cause more catastrophe, cause that is more catastrophic to your engine, is the one at the gearbox end, because it's bigger. So if it becomes that weak and start leaking, it could dry off. Maybe let's assume you are doing a 12-hour journey, or 24-hour journey, or 5-hour journey, and that big one becomes bad. See, it could dry off less than 5 minutes, or it will throw out all the oil from there, depending on how bad the sail has become. Unlike the one on the crankshafts, on the timing side, that one could take longer. The sail is not that big. I'm not saying it will not leave, but compared to the other one, it's more catastrophic. So, of course, there are also the one on the camshaft. I'm just telling you the one that's usually the weakest, yeah, weakest of the whole oil seal on the engine in terms of leakages, or not leakages. The camshafts one could also, they also do leak when they are weak, but in terms of the one that will cause you more harm, even the one on the camshaft can cause you harm if it's a timing belt. Of course, it's going to start splashing oil on the belt, and which can weaken the belt, and then the belt could cut. And if it's a, what's it called, interference engine, yeah, it could damage your engine. Yes, damage your engine. So even if it's non-interference engine, you wouldn't want the timing belt to break while you're enjoying it. You start looking for mechanic to go and buy belt to replace, all those stuff. So drive your car for at least minimum of 3 days. It could be more. While you're observing, when you drive, you park your car. Maybe the next morning you check to see if there's oil spill or oil stain on the ground when you move your vehicle from there, or you go peep under your engine bay, see if your oil pan or sump is wet. If the leakage was there before you changed this, you switched to a different oil brand, different oil grade, different oil type, then fix it. Whether it was caused by the new oil or not, just fix that leakage. Do not travel when your car is leaking, engine is leaking oil. Do not travel. So when you do that switch, observe your car for some days before you travel, because you are likely going to lose that engine, damage that engine, if you ignore or you didn't observe this thing I just mentioned, and then you enter the highway that same day, the next day, you are likely going to probably rebuild, replace, or be stranded on the highway. I'm talking about rebuild or replacing the engine, or be stranded. Let's assume you were lucky or paying attention when the warning now came up that your engine is almost dry, has no oil anymore, and you quickly switch off your engine. Yeah, in that case, you could say, okay, it didn't damage your engine, but you likely be stranded. I mean, do you expect that every part of the road or the journey will have a competent mechanic for your vehicle to be able to strip your engine and start changing those oil seals? Or you could have to stay there or tow the vehicle and cover maybe an additional 500 kilometers or more. Or you have to call your mechanic to come wherever you are, which could take days if when he's free and you now have to sleep, or you leave so all those emotional headache or nightmares, don't need to go through it. Like I said, do what I just said. Then if it doesn't leak, then you can continue. If there's such leakage symptom, it's very easy. Just get genuine or quality oil sales, do it, replace all those sales, and then do your journey. So in that case, you are covered. At least it means in the next thousands of kilometers or thereabouts, your engines will not leak oil anymore with the new or different oil you switch to. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. Like I said, it could be anyone. Like this was 5,000. I'm not saying I recommend this. I'm just using it as a reference. Maybe you are switching from this one to this one, or you are switching to was 9,000 5W40, or you are switching to liquid moly 10W40 moly gen, or whatever one. Just don't assume that oil is oil. So they shouldn't cause any kind of reaction inside the engine when you switch to something different. Most times they do. So you can ignore what I'm saying, or you do your very best to carry out the preventative maintenance for you to have a long, trouble-free ownership of the vehicle. All right, that's all.